Are you living according to freedom, that others are more important than you, or do you have to fight for that every moment, or you've given up fighting for that a while ago? These are truthful things that we need to address as people that say we're following Christ. Because when you follow Christ, it's not about you anymore. By the time you see eternity, it's not about you. That's what Peter said to Jesus, where else can I go? You're going to be willing to put your hands out and go where you don't want to go. Because it's about Jesus. It's about his kingdom, and it's about others. Look not only to your own interests, but to the interests of others. And we really get confused in that. Does that make sense? So the bridge is designed that you learn all the elements of it. And in learning the elements of it, you will, like Karen, have something that'll pop up to your head that say, now I like that. That's the Holy Ghost in you. Saying, yeah, I've called you to do that. But it means you need to understand the other parts of the bridge, or it's not connected. Have you ever been with people that are talking and mad at each other, and they're just missing each other? They're really saying the same thing, and everything in you wants to say, stop and listen to each other for a minute. You're saying the same thing, but they're saying it from their room, their perspective. And if they don't stop and listen, they're arguing. I see it all the time in Christianity. You get an evangelist talking with a shepherd, and they're furious with each other. Because they both have a different opinion of how you help a new believer. Evangelist says, they're in, what's the problem? Yeah. Shepherd says, are you kidding? They're not in. They are so damaged. No, they're not, they're in. They're hurting. Really? They both care about the person. But one was designed to see an aspect that the other wasn't. Now try the visionary. Oh, that's my favorite. Poor Scott, he is one. The visionary says, let's go, people! And everybody goes, what? Jump!
That's right. You'll catch us.
And everybody just stands there. Except for the few brave ones that landed in the water. There needs to be lily pads set up. So they can hop, 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 hop over. But a visionary, and I'm not saying Scott did this, but a visionary often will say, rebellious people won't follow. They're terrified. I can't jump that far, Pastor. And they don't know how to say that, because I guess I should be able to. So they just say, I'm busy. But if we lay out the lily pads, 90% want to go. But the visionary doesn't see the lily pads. And without the visionary, we never get to heaven. We do need to become friends one day. So everyone is needed. What about the theologian, Rick, that wants it all accurate? They'll stop you at this room and say, yes, but what order do we put that in? And are we sure of the time that we need to be? And that's crucial. You may go on the journey and land in hell and didn't know it till you get there. So what we find is that every room has a purpose of what it's doing in our lives. Yeah. And every room is established through this revelation. So the question becomes, what they were asking over here, basically what they're asking is, how do we do the rugs? How do we get the new revelation, is what they're really asking. How do you create an environment for a watcher to get a revelation? How many watchers do we have in La Crescenta?
Hundreds of thousands.
Thousands. Well, I would say that's important then, wouldn't you? How do we help them get a revelation? Well, okay, so believers. We have people that have popped into the believer room. Karen, that's the room you love. How are you going to help them get a revelation? Okay, That's what everybody is saying, but how's that working? Okay, well, what I want to do is show you literally how you do it, biblically. That's the difference of what we're talking about. You're giving me methods, and I want to give you the principle, and you know what will happen? It will transform your methods into incredible effectiveness. Does that make sense? I'm asking in a sense of getting you to think. I'm on purpose getting minds thinking. It gets uncomfortable for a minute, but it's on purpose.
For me, it would be putting the other person first, and that's how I would show them the love. By not just focusing on me. My example when we were talking at the table here was, I could just be in the grocery store in line, and behind me see this frantic person who's just like watching her, going crazy, and I go, you know what, do you want to go in front of me?
Okay, but that's a method, because you just explained if you're in a grocery store what you do.
Well, but I started with the principle of putting other people first.
Why do you do that? That's also a method.
Well, I was living in the world of us, not the world of me.
Okay, but why is that important? See, I'm going to go down to the principle. I'm going to push this envelope to get us to answer why, and you're going to discover the why. Why is love important?
Because we were created to be loved.
Okay, so how were we created to function then? Because love is a function.
In unity with God and with others.
Oh, you're getting closer to it now. And how do we get in unity with God and with others?
We need to get out of pride, selfishness, and rebellion.
Oh, so it has to do with our soul.
Yeah.
So the problem is when we live over here, we're disconnected.
Yes.
And so we've got to be over here with our intellect, emotions, and will. You're beginning to go to the why now. How do you get the intellect to open up to God?
How do I personally, or?
How does the intellect open up to God? Because that's what you're talking about. The intellect, emotions, and will are the relating parts of us. It's how we relate to each other, right? And to God. Agreement is for the emotions, but how do you get the intellect?
Read the Bible, go to church.
No, those are rules. I know people that don't have a church. I wasn't in church for years, and so the devil knows the Bible by heart, so it can't be that.
Connect to God.
Well, we're talking about how you get revelation. How do you prepare the mind for revelation? Close.
Agree with God.
No, that's how do you get the mind to agree with God?
You have to know what God is first.
What part doesn't agree with God? Your pride or your intellect?
Pride.
And what is the cure to pride? Humility. So you teach people to be humble. That's how the intellect connects to God. So all these methods boil down to a principle of a humble mind is receptive to God and others. A prideful mind resists. God gives grace to the humble, but he resists the proud. That's why Jesus was the most humble man that ever lived. Okay, so that's the intellect. How do you get the emotions to connect? Well, they're going to agree, but how do you get them to agree? What prepares the emotions? Okay? Yes, but go to the other side. When the emotions are about themselves, it is selfishness. And how do you fix selfishness?
Service.
Oh!